Hello and welcome to the Hunt a Predecessor Podcast. Going to be episode 2. No fancy intro today, but we do have some pretty badass guests. We got Windu, the Mace, and Sockcap. Windu, how you doing tonight, man?
Chillin', fam. I'm excited to get to the spicy talks that we always dream about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
While also, trying not to let people go too far off the deep end because I know how passionate people can get.
What are you getting at? I feel like that's directed at me.
I am here to be Switzerland, while simultaneously I am gonna ask you guys questions that are gonna get y'all emotional. So I know that for a fact. But we'll have fun.
And Sockcap, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Today was a crazy day. I'll have to talk about that another time. But we got some topics, and here's the thing, right? This is the beauty of me being me. I am a perfectly flawed person. Perfectly flawed. So if you ever see me when I'm in full rant mode, that's actually not this. So I'm going to be like much more measured. Anytime I'm doing a recording thing, I'm always much more measured. My levels kind of come down a little bit, but there's still a lot to say. So we have a lot of topics. Y'all can see them down in the little bottom bar, and I've got my show notes in front of me. Same thing I sent y'all. It's, basically the same thing. And we're just going to jump from topic to topic and kind of talk a little bit. We'll go for about an hour and a half max and see where it goes, right? So first and foremost on tonight's docket is the New Year blog. I didn't know what to call it. It's like the look into the new year kind of a thing that they did. They showed off or kind of talked about a lot of stuff. What did y'all think about that? What was the initial reception, Windu?
I'll be real with you. Every time that I see any post like that out of any company, I get a little worried more than anything, because I'm all about like, hey, show me the stuff that you're gonna do, don't just tell me about it. I've been pleasantly surprised with how they ended the last year, right? Like that last month of December. But whenever I see a post, it's like, hey, this is what we want to bring 2024. It's like let's just tell me you're excited for 2024 and let's just see what the next update brings, right? So I'm a little hesitant, but I like the fact that they're making an effort to communicate as well.
Interesting. Sockcap, what did you think about the big blog?
I thought it was fine. You talking about the 2024, what they're looking for, like I thought it was fine. They talked about adding ranked, which is pretty big, 6-item slot, which is nice. Currency in the game, which is nice. All that stuff. I mean, I don't think any of that stuff, aside from like the new game mode and maybe the item overhaul, I don't think anything is like too crazy difficult to implement. So I'm not too worried about it. But
yeah,
I think it calmed a lot of people down.
I know the game mode is already like they're already messing around with it and shit like that. So
yeah, I know.
It's not gonna be...
I know a little bit about the game mode, but I can't leak nothing because I'm not supposed to know nothing about the game mode. But things are moving along, and I mean, for the sake of saying that blog was like, to me, feels like perfect. Like it touches a bit on everything, hit some of my my topics. The problem with it, because there has to be a problem with everything, is that it's just words, and that's not really a problem. It's insight into what's going to come. But I think that what it does, and this is just natural, right? And I'm not saying that the problem with it should have meant that they didn't do it at all. I love that they did it. I think releasing that blog, I think the things that are in the blog is all perfect. But the problem does come in the fact that if it takes too long for some of those things to get in, then it's going to be another one of those like, well, God damn it. Like, it's just words, right? It's another season 2. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, they baited us in with season 2, right? Like, it's another just like didn't get the job done.
Overpromise, underdeliver instead of the opposite.
Yeah. And
hopefully
so,
we hope that they've learned.
I also think it does this thing where it kind of like, I feel like it kind of buys them time at the same time, because like, if I complain about something, which I do, people are going to be like, dude, what the fuck are you complaining about? You just got all this information. And it's like, you're right, but it also hasn't been promised on yet. So again, it's not really a problem. I really don't have a lot to complain about. I just think it's like one of those things that's like, man, it all sounds so good. Now I just really, really want it. But yeah, dude, like contract system going away and the free-to-play currency, I'm not gonna lie, those were like two of the biggest things I complained about. The fact that they actually are doing that, super, super happy with. I thought that was gonna take like a year to get them over that. So I'm pretty pleased.
You know how many people immediately when that got dropped would just send me a DM. It's like, bro, now Krashy can't complain, bro.
Dude, it's
like immediately.
The crazy thing is that, like, I think how bad the contract system and a lack of free to play currency is, it doesn't seem like it's that bad, but it really was a system that I just was like, some people are going to touch this game and they're going to hate it.
Flawed.
They're going to hate it and they're going to see the issue and they're going to be like, dude, what the fuck is this? And so when there's already like an industry standard kind of way for those kinds of systems, it's like, dude, just copy that thing. Like, it's going to work fine. So I'm pretty glad they decided to go on ahead with that. That's pretty big to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. At least with that, I mean, I didn't really care too much about it, but I agree with you that if there's already an established, like, fine way of doing stuff, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. It doesn't seem like it's necessary. So
I think we can all agree that the only issue that the majority of people had was the rushed half part of the system that they implemented, as opposed to them pushing forward the whole thing, which would have been better. But
I mean, I kind of hated all. I kind of hated all of it. Like, I kind of hated all of it, but it's like fine, right? Like, it's semantics now. I don't have to talk about it. I think the only thing now is just like 2 or 3 of those things are so good to me, and we're already like a month into the year. Granted, they did take holidays off, which I'm perfectly fine with. I'm happy they get to take holidays off and be with their families, of course. But now we just kind of have to wait and see when some of those things really start kicking in. Because, like, I'm super happy free to play currency's coming out, contract system's gone, but technically it's not yet. It's like we still got to wait for it. But all things considered, new episode, new year. I wanted to bring up the blog. I really have nothing bad to say about the blog. I think it's worth bringing up and saying, hey, dude, big plus for the game. Just has to be delivered on. But that's always a given, right? Anytime anybody says anything, they're going to do anything. Actions speak louder than words. So, do y'all want to pick one that was like your favorite, most excited for? Kind of give any more context to the New Year blog. And if y'all aren't familiar, there's some really good stuff on it. Make sure y'all go check it out. Definitely worth a read.
I think ranked is the big one for me. I mean,
Yeah.
that'll be interesting to see how they implement.
I was gonna say I'm a visual guy. The rank borders, and and them adding art to the game and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's all. That's really what I care about the most.
Yeah, I think for anybody that's been playing a while, like, ranked is probably the big one. I mean, I don't even know if they put their upcoming matchmaking on the blog. I don't think that was on the blog, but we know that's in the pipeline too. We're waiting on that. Currency changes and stuff, all of that's like for the betterment of the game, but that's not like the most exciting thing in the world. So ranked, and honestly, because the implications of adding like a 6-item slot kind of suggest they have to rework the shop a little bit, I'm excited to see how they pull it off, because I think that's going to be an undertaking. So yeah.
They said they're going to add active items too, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned in the blog post that some of the items will be actives now.
I don't remember that, but yeah, probably. That's crazy.
They mentioned it. The question is, are they going to just kind of lazy adjust the item shop, just lower the prices or raise the prices, whatever the hell they do, right? Or is it going to be a complete overhaul where base stats, passives get changed and everything? Maybe new item art even.
I imagine that they're probably gonna have to rework the stats that you get from stuff, because you're getting a whole new item. I don't know if they're gonna.
How many times do we even get to 5 items by the end of the game?
Yeah, I think because of the nature of the game now, you have to basically do like almost an entire overhaul. Like, it would be a problem if you just get the same stats super fast.
Right.
But it would also be similarly a problem if you just come out with the 6th slot and you don't ever get there. So, yeah. But all right, second topic. One that I'm honestly gonna say didn't see coming at all. They're extending console. They're extending it. They said, you know what? How could we dare take it away? Y'all loved it so much. When you say it like that, a part of me thinks like wants to call bullshit. I'm kind of just like, did y'all just say you're going to take it away so you can say you're not going to take it away? But I don't really, I don't have to be that cynical. Either which way, I think it's a good thing. What are y'all's thoughts on how console beta went, how it felt to be playing with them, and then now the extension of it?
You can go, Zach. I'm about to say, you go first, bro.
It felt awful. No, I mean, it's a good thing, but it felt awful playing with those players. So can't wait to do that forever.
He said, "Yeah,
absolutely, yeah." Bro, I played one game this morning, and I had a Bellica support that was on console. It went. She was my support. I was ADC, and she went 0-12. So, I mean, it's just like. Matchmaking's pretty rough with all these wide ranges of people, and a lot of them get like even though some of them might be like winning games and they might be like okay players, but then they get shot up the ranks really quickly. So you'll have like maybe some guys that have been like grouped or stacking that are PlayStation players that are new that have won like 4 games in a row. And now all of a sudden they're like in your game and they're just running it. So it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Bro, there were some gamers in there though. I saw a face support with 100 games in less than a week, bro.
Yeah, but like volume gamers in the sense that like they like the game and they want to play a lot, or like gamers as in like they're good at the game.
There's a few of both in that category because there's a couple good console players had come up through the Weedworks, but I'd definitely say after a month the matchmaking got a lot better. That first week was definitely a lot rougher. You know what I mean? Like especially what you're talking about, they win 3 games. Next thing you know, they're up against people that they definitely shouldn't be up against.
Right.
So I think that like I think there was no way to expect it to go well. And when I say go well, I mean like the quality of matches and like the people you're playing with, because there's just this like lopsided reality, right? Like there's no way that even if they're super good, they could be like as experienced. Yeah, like they're still missing context. They're still missing matchup information. They don't understand the history of the items. They don't understand the map meta. They like, so the thing is like, did it suck? Like, yeah. Am I glad they're around? Like someone was like, "Oh, what do you think? Like, what are your thoughts going forward now that the console beta is about to end?" And I was like, "What am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to be like, yeah, fuck those guys?" Like, no, it's like I want them to stick around because the reality is like over time, that feeling of just like full on inexperienced noobs is gonna go away, right? Like they might still suck. Some people are still gonna suck, but they're not gonna just be like, dude, they're 150 games in. I'm 2,000 matches in. It's just different. We're just different. So yeah, I think all things considered, like extending the beta, that's the right thing to do. Like from the dev perspective, like I think once you got it on the console, unless you had to take it down, and even then I would kind of want an explanation just because I'm curious. It just seems like the right thing. I was
shocked as hell, bro. Like I literally on the Predcast a week ago doubled down on saying I'm thinking that console's not going to be back until June.
So what
like
was
sometime in the summer?
What would be a good reason to take it down for like an extended period of time?
I would say it's some serious game breaking situation, right? Like imagine they maybe throughout all the testing and everything, they found out that something in the porting to PlayStation side was wrong on the back end. They might legit need to be like, hey, we're gonna take this down, work and fix that back end. Let's say it takes 2-3 weeks or whatever, or a month or whatever it may be, and then they can bring it back up, right? Like in that case, it would have to be something not superficial.
Yeah,
like something
I just kept kind of like I look at it and it's like, okay, the game's on the platform, so that means that it's running on the platform. Like all things considered, people are playing, they seem interested. Like the game versions are the same. Like I just kept thinking of like, what is the thing? Unless it was some game breaking hidden thing that they just like, hey, we can't even tell you why we're pulling it down. I couldn't really.
Did you see what happened this past week with PlayStation?
I don't think
this last the update, it was like a day or two
ago. Yeah. They got like
so they did a quick little so they basically did a hot fix that for some reason PlayStation players weren't able to play, right? And then when they released a hot fix for that to let PlayStation players in, now all of the matchmaking got janked up. Yeah. Just things that pop up in certain situations. But that would be a good example of why they have to take something down. Like maybe they just start implementing stuff and they realize, wait, PlayStation updates aren't as simple as we thought. Maybe we had kind of got to restructure a little.
Yeah.
This is easy. It's just easier to work on one thing if you turn the servers off for PlayStation and all that stuff, and you don't have to actively work with 2 communities. That plus, also, if they're keeping them open, then there's a good chance that the PlayStation players are actually like buying cosmetics. Otherwise, I don't see why they would keep that open if they're just letting because servers cost money and all that stuff. So I don't know how much. Like I don't know how that works with PlayStation. I don't know what servers they're using. I know they're using on PC. They're using AWS. I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if it's the same with PlayStation and Sony. I don't know how that works.
Question.
But
yeah, I would assume that they use similar hosting, but I actually don't know either. My thought though is that like, so there's a cost for doing anything, right? Like there's always an opportunity cost in any decision you make, and so if like let's say, okay, well, we could theorize that like maybe they're keeping PlayStation around because like they're buying skins, but also it's like maybe the cost of letting their hype die down is also like too much to spend, right? It's too much to spend because think about when you were 2 months into the game. Dude, I was pulling 10-hour days. I was literally playing 10 hours a day. It was like before I started my more recent job, and I was like still kind of like half doing content stuff. I was just playing 30 games a day or some crazy ridiculous number. And even with like frustrating games here and there, it's like the game, there was just so much to learn and so much to explore. And even now they have Affinity. They're coming in with Affinity. They're coming in with more heroes than we had back then. Like, yeah, hell yeah, I wouldn't want to slow down if I was 2 months into the beta. So I think
let me ask you this. And sorry to interrupt, off of that mindset before we sidetrack off of it, I'm with you on the idea of it might be more detrimental to lose the hype, to die down, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then why keep it at an extended closed beta? Why keep it hey, come request your code if you want to play? Why not just switch it to open and try to scale upwards with the hype?
Does the open coincide with any releases? I don't really remember the date.
What do you mean as far as coincide with the releases?
Like, does it like
other projects? Or?
Does open beta coincide with Emerald?
No, they haven't.
I don't said they're gonna think so. They said that they are leaning towards open beta. They said that they want players to be around for Emerald. Maybe they're waiting for the official start of next season to be the open beta phase, because it technically is a different stage in development, a different phase. But it definitely, like, if a closed beta went well and they're not shutting down, open beta would be a very big, hey, we're putting it on the table. Let's show the world that we can handle it. Like, we're steady. You know?
I think the only thing I could imagine would be a reason not to just like on this literally like when they announced they extended it to go open is because they want to strategically go open, meaning like they want to have like a trailer built out for it. They want to have like a release built out for it, or they at minimum want to give themselves like a day or two to do some like, graphic design artwork, something to where they can hit the socials at the same time. Because obviously like they were committed to just saying like, hey, we're going to keep it closed, but that gives them like whatever the window of when they're extending closed to when they actually hit open will give them enough time to prepare for, like a nice little marketing push for it, however big that might be. I don't think they'll go super crazy with an open beta marketing push, but like a decent size one, maybe.
Well, we saw, you guys remember the last set that they did before early access, where they had certain streamers with a hashtag ad that they actually got paid to kind of try the game out? Do you remember that?
I don't know. I think I barely remember that, to be honest.
So there were like Smite streamers and stuff like that trying the game, right? And they easily could double down on that side. Because, like, for example, we're going to talk about the subject of Smite 2 here in a little bit, right? There's other drama going on in the mobile world elsewhere, whether it be League of Legends NA and stuff like that. They easily can capitalize, but I think even leaving it as closed beta is them potentially risking the whole not capitalizing on the hype of stuff going on around, capitalizing on search engine algorithms and stuff. I
think I want to give them the benefit of the doubt to think that like they're going to be a little bit more calculated than that. Like open beta has to be big. Like open beta is big, and then full release is big. Those are like if you got a double barrel shotgun, those are like your two shells. And so I'm thinking that for open beta, like not only will the day or like that patch, whatever patch it's going to be, is going to coincide with probably some kind of a release. It's like it's going to be like one of the big ticket items from the blog. It'll be like Emerald. It'll coincide with an announcement. It's gonna have to hit with something. So I'm assuming that
maybe they sync Xbox closed beta and then PlayStation open.
But that's the thing. It could literally just be like two things, right? Like it could be like Xbox open beta, ranked test. I don't know. We'll see. I guess
we can get more console players, dude. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we are.
Yes.
Yeah, we are. I keep forgetting about Xbox. I'm gonna be honest, because I haven't owned a console in like 5 years now. It's been a while. Well, I mean, minus my Switch if you count that, but I haven't actually been a console gamer in a long time. So I keep forgetting. Like when I hear PlayStation, I just think it's console. I don't really like separate the two. So yeah, I keep thinking, dude, like God, it's gotta suck to be an Xbox player right now. Like you're actually just sitting there waiting, and you waited for so long, and then now you're waiting longer. But
Yeah.
It's okay, bro. Xbox players are used to waiting for games. It's okay.
Dude, I feel like Xbox fell so hard, but we're not going to do the console debate.
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
it used for
I
me.
just had to throw the jab out there.
Dude,
I'm a PlayStation guy.
No, but for me, it used to be like Xbox was on top. I was always Xbox 360, like for life. It was the better fucking console, and now
For a
like
time frame.
the fuck happened, dude. Anyways, Microsoft, get your shit together. Also, while you're at it, bring back Heroes of the Storm for me because I know they bought out Blizzard, but different thing. So let's talk about Kwong. What do y'all think about Kwong? Good release, bad release, fun to play, shit to play. What's the Kwong vibe?
Love him. Actually, like fluidity. He's purple, the lightning and everything. The fact that now his tether can be synced up with every single one of his abilities, whether it be lightning from the sky, whether it be a knockup, whether it be ulting to it. I love the fact that as a whole, his kit feels a little bit more fluid now in the predecessor version. That's me.
Yeah, I think they did a good job of making him feel a little bit different with the dash and the knockup, and having like a little bit of a kind of a different way he can combo and all that stuff. And then while doing that, still making him kind of relatively like he was in Paragon, still appeals to the old kit. So people that liked him back in Paragon don't feel like they've lost their champ, or they haven't, you know.
So
It still has
better
that
than
clang
old
feel.
Paragon,
pretty
worse
true.
than old Paragon. Like I mean,
Yeah, I mean an old
It's
Paragon.
pretty much the same kit, actually.
It's the same kit except for the dash and the knockup. His E back in Paragon was he got
It was his
Omnivamp,
passive.
and he
Yeah.
gave Omnivamp around him to his allies.
so did he just
That
not
was
have
it.
like a knockup at all, or how did the knockup work?
No, he didn't have a dash. Or
There was no
knockup.
ability on E.
Oh,
You
okay.
upgraded his E, it was a passive.
Yeah.
So now,
Ah.
since they have a passive slot,
I hate passives.
They-
Like passive abilities has got to be the worst thing. Like it's so lazy.
Yeah, they had a
there's
bunch.
room for them, but it's either broken or lazy.
Yeah,
is
but
the way I usually see it come around.
If you build
in
a
most
passive
games.
ability, you better have some crazy ultimate. Like you know what I mean? Like you got to compensate. It's like I want 4 abilities. If you're not giving me 4 abilities, then I want 2 abilities and like a badass ultimate or something. You know what I mean? Or like every now and then you'll get a champion in a MOBA that has like ultimate level 1. Like that's fucking cool. Like when you pull that off and it like makes sense to do shit like that. For me, my context to Kwong came from Overprime, and I gotta say I like the Overprime one more, but I like the Overprime Kwong so much I was scared I was gonna not like this version. I like him a lot. I think he feels good. They just feel very different.
Yeah, I was about to say the kit's like pretty much almost completely different.
It's super different.
Which it is creative the way they did it over there.
Kwong in Pred has his sword throw and then you can ult to it. Kwong in OP, his sword throw and teleport is just his Q. Like you can just throw it and teleport to it if you want to. His knockup is a 3 auto attack chain. So like on your third auto, you get the knockup. His E is a dash, and then the ultimate is like a steroid. So it's just like I feel like that kit feels very like the OP kit feels super skill expressive. This kit feels like really fluid. So it doesn't feel bad. I actually like it a lot. He's like one of my favorites to play right now. I think his build diversity is actually pretty good. I think that they nailed him. I think they really nailed him. Also, like the sound and lightning design on him, dude, when you're like cracking, like you're literally like the 3 combo chain and you're just like like that shit. It actually hits really hard.
You can tell when there's a Quang doing work
Yeah.
in a team fight because you see all the lightning go everywhere. It's like, yo, shit just went down.
Yeah, so I do think they nailed him. Where he fits in the meta, we'll see, because PCC is like in the middle of what's going on there. They're not like no like really high tier team is like scrimming him. So we'll see like where exactly he falls. I haven't seen crazy opinions about him. I think if anything, I feel like I want to say I've seen more opinions of people thinking he's weak. But I think he feels like pretty like high B tier, A tier ish. He feels like solid to me, like pretty solid.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he does fine into some characters in offlane, and then other ones he seems to like really like. I feel like it's not very fun to play him into Grux. It just seems like there's not very much you can do. You can't take like prolonged fights. You can't really get away from.
He's
Grux.
definitely burst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you just gotta have to kind of play passive. I don't know about like Crunch. I feel like Crunch would also kind of feel bad, but I don't know. The tanks I don't think are that bad. Like Richter and Steel, maybe. I don't think it's like maybe too bad to play him into that, but I don't know.
I
I
mean, but
haven't really played him too much.
he scales pretty hard like a Countess. Like anybody that's playing him for the early game, it probably isn't getting the results that they want. You know,
Yeah, I
like
don't.
he scales hard.
Yeah, he's got good scaling on his ult, and then his base damages are pretty
Okay.
high. Yeah, I think they're pretty good.
I like him in jungle a lot. I'm pretty pleased with him there, and I actually think he's got like 2 or 3 like solid builds. Like I think you can build him like damn near full tank, and it actually feels like pretty decent. It's like playing Chimera. Like Chimera gets played full tank basically a lot, and it works really well. Then I think you do have like a kind of like bruisery magic build that feels pretty solid. A couple different ways to build it too. Like he's got like
breaker tank sort of vibe.
dude, he's got like, but that's the thing. Like, it's not even like when I say like, oh, there's like magic bruiser items you can build on him. It's like there's not even just like one build. There's like, I think there's like 8 or 9 items that he like likes.
Yeah, whether you like Oath Keeper, Magnify, Prophecy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of options. I think Lifebinder's really good on him. I think Fire Blossom's good on him. I think Orb of Enlightenment is good on him. It's slow. I like Prophecy on him. I think Golem's Gift is good on him. I think World Breaker's good on. Flux Matrix is good on him. Yeah,
sure, he could probably use the entire mage tree. Come to think of it,
I mean, if you're building him damage, then I've seen people build Time Warp on him. Like Time Warp's crazy cooldown reduction. He's got super high cooldowns. Like I think he's got a lot going for him. So yeah, he feels pretty solid. Any other thoughts on Kwong? What do y'all you got?
How do we feel about their release and the information on Quang? Because correct me if I'm wrong, if it felt like Sunday teaser video, Monday explanation video, Tuesday there's a character, like where was the week or two lead up to it?
I feel like this one, I almost let this fall because it probably would have came up later, but it feels like they were like, oh yeah, we were on break, so like yeah, we just didn't prep that. And to me, I'm like, I get break. I get holidays, but just do the work before. Like if you can
schedule a Twitter post and a YouTube upload.
You can schedule it, but okay, so here's the thing. I get annoyed when people are like, oh, your expectations are too high, because it's like my expectations are almost always either set by the developers themselves or set by the market, like the industry, right? So like those are where my expectations come from. If they've set the precedent of like what they do leading into a release and then they don't do it, then it's not too crazy for people to be like, hey, where's the shit that y'all normally do? So
yeah,
I do think it was
kind
of just
expecting
like,
it a week before because of that
alone. Yeah, I think it was kind of just like a weird, like, that's weird. Like, is it existential that they didn't drop a video? Like, no, it's fine, but it's just one of those things that's like, that just makes you look a little lazy, and I'm not a huge fan of doing anything that makes them look bad, or of them doing anything that makes them look bad. So like, maybe don't do that again would be my recommendation, but I don't know.
They could have, bro, they honestly could have just even forgot to post, because again, we're all humans, right? But it is one of those things that 1,000%, I expected the original teaser a week beforehand, 2 to 3 days later the breakdown, and then 2 to 3 days later the kit through blog post, and then on Tuesday we get the character. Right. That's what I'm used to over the last year.
I'm a rebuttal on the last thing you just said. They are a work from home company in technology. There ain't no such thing as forgetting to post and not being able to whip out a laptop and post that shit real quick. Like, I don't buy it. I know that you're not dying on the hill.
I know they dropped the ball by all means, and because it is one of those things that even if we as creators don't upload something in a timely manner that they're expected, we'll get DMs, we'll get comments on other videos like, hey, where the fuck is this video that you always drop?
Yeah,
like what's happening? Are you slacking? So it's one of those things that they did set the expectation, and they easily could have just that video could have been scheduled a month ago, because they have all the internal stuff for whenever they finished it.
Yeah, I just think like if you set a trend and it like is something for like releases, just stick to it. You know, like I don't know. It's just it's either the slightest amount of ammo that you can give me to call you lazy, or it's not something that you can give me to call you lazy. And like, again, is it existential? No, I don't even think we need to like bitch about this one that much. But just saying,
Yeah, it doesn't even matter now because it's already past it, right? But it is one of those things that I don't want them to repeat that trend.
Exactly.
And us just sitting by and saying, well, whatever, they're fine. I don't want them saying future releases now just drop all the shit a day or two before when they easily could have done it, with a plan, building up hype, something that benefits them, and etc. Worth mentioning.
You guys are qualifying those statements so hard.
Hey man, but that's what it comes down to, right? Like, here's the thing: at least they gave it to us, right? You could say better late than never. Is it what they're used to doing? No, so that's on them, right? Did they give it to us? Yes, by all means. I'm glad that I still got it. I'm glad there was a window for creators to make a video on it, right? Even if it was just a day or two. But at the end of the day, it's really hard to sit here and just kind of be like, why did it happen that way?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's funny because like I feel like I could go on and on about all of the shit they do wrong, and like this is one of the ones I really don't even give a shit about. It's just like it's another like tiny little thing that I could throw on top of the pile. So it's like, just stop giving tiny little things to throw on top of the pile. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I agree with you guys in the sense that like when they are trying to release full scale and stuff like this is kind of important.
Yeah.
But I just think right now it doesn't really matter too much. Right, it's just kind of an inconvenience. But when they're
Fair.
Yeah,
but
because the way that I look at it is like right now, like, well, if they do release a video a week in advance right now as is, and they do everything the way they've done it in the past, what hypothetically are we talking about them gaining? They gaining like a mass amount of
momentum, hype.
I mean, even if it's small, right? Because I get the point. Like the implication of doing it on time in a non like super like in a non time period where it matters to be super timely, or as much as it will be later on. It's more about just like building the consistency. Like if you set the trend for something and you give people something that they can expect, then just be reliable. Like it always comes down to the sentiment of like, I feel very much so like if you're going to do anything, do it right. It's just kind of like that. Like you've already set the trend, just stick to it, give people what they expect to be given, and then carry that throughout your entire career. So that way it's like just a consistent good thing that people can't bitch about. Like, and again, this is like, I don't even think this is worth bitching about, but it is technically something I can bitch about. So it's like,
yeah, and almost Sog, like it's more important later on by all means,
definitely,
but patterns can get established, right? So I think from my point of view, it's one of those things that I rather point out a pattern that isn't beneficial for them now, as opposed to wait till release, and then if they do it, then it's like, okay, now it's released, now we can complain. It's like, no, we could have told them this 6 months ago, a year ago, and set them up for the release.
You get the fault PTSD, just like
1,000%, bro. 1,000%. Like I've seen games come and go, fault being one of them, and it's one of those things that at the end of the day, Brad, like if we can help even just give our opinion on certain situations, great example being the affinity system, where a lot of us creators spoke out for the community towards the devs. It's one of those things where it's almost like we have an obligation at times to speak for the community. That also depends on how we speak, how we approach, and etc., which we can get into a whole nother debate later, right? But
I don't agree with that.
I know. Trust me, that's a spicy stuff. We'll talk about it later. But for me, it's one of those things that it's more of a responsibility to be like, hey, if I have knowledge that could help, I'm gonna share it. Whether it be internally behind the scenes, whether I just make a Twitter post about it and tag the devs directly, tag Ace himself or something like that. But yeah, it's just, these are little things, but little things have the butterfly effect long term. That's why I just rather talk about it now, have somebody hear it, and then somebody behind the scenes go, yeah, you know what? Let's make sure we got that weekly scheduled on point for next time, and it never happens again, That's my point of view.
Yeah. All right, let's move things along. So next on the list, and this one is it's definitely an interesting topic. I think this is where like maybe even the expectation of tension might build. Smite 2. Let's just start it at that. Smite 2 has been announced. What do you think about Smite? What do you think about Smite 2? What do you think this means for Predecessor? Just come with the perspectives. I'm not making any like hard stances or points until we just like, what about Smite 2? What does it do for you in your mind when you think about Predecessor? We'll start with you, Sockcap.
I think it looks good. I mean, I think it looks fine, right? Like, I'm not personally interested in it, but I think the game itself looks really well done in terms of what they've done. It's still at the end of the day, it's like Smite but upgraded, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's not
It's still Smite.
much new that they're offering in terms of the like core gameplay. So I imagine that it will pull away the people that played Smite and came here, which I don't think is like a huge amount of people. I doubt that it will pull away too many people that are like avid Paragon players, from that community. So I mean, I think, like I said, you looking at like all of the Smite refugees, or not Smite refugees, but all the like Soul Reaper and that kind of group of people that came from Smite might steal them away. And if that's Soul Reaper, then there goes like half the viewership on Twitch. But you know, uh, other than that, I don't know about like the player base. I don't think it's gonna. I'm sure it will pull some people away that haven't played Smite just because it's new. But I don't think it will have like a crazy effect. People were saying like, "Oh, it's gonna kill Predecessor." I think that this game has a higher chance of just slowly fizzling out and dying, just like Fault did, than Smite 2 does of killing it. So,
Would what's your take on Smite 2 and Pred and what they're doing and what they've done and yada yada yada?
Yeah, bro. I think that this is when they should be capitalizing. Predecessor should be capitalizing. Because here's the thing, just like Sock said, it's basically just Smite, but prettier. As somebody that's a fan of Smite, as somebody that has a shit ton of skins on Smite, it sucks that the average Smite player is losing the majority of those skins and or equal value, right? That's something that the Predecessor needs to harp on. At the same time, it's next gen only. How many PlayStation 4 players, how many Xbox Ones are literally just like, well, shit, we're out of luck. You know what I'm saying? There's a good pool of people there that they can still reel from. So I think Predecessor should be lightly marketing, and specifically because Smite 2 is such a high trend. Even if it's just grab that one little closed beta trailer and now put an ad in there with a trend of Smite 2. So every time somebody's talking about Smite 2 or something, here goes a random ad every once in a while of Predecessor pop up and be like, what's this? Which they could probably get for a lot cheaper because it's a hot topic anyway, as opposed to trying to force that subject on people in the MOBA genre. Like, there's a lot of wrong stuff as well as good stuff with the whole Smite 2 announcement. And Predecessor needs to capitalize. That's why I kind of fear the whole closed beta as opposed to open beta. Because this is when they should be reeling people in and be like, yo, is Smite screwing you over? Come over here. We got you.
Smite 2's like set to release next year, right?
I think they're
If I remember.
doing like an alpha.
I think their
later
beta's
this
in
year.
summer.
Yeah,
I think is what it is.
but I don't think it's gonna run
That's-
long. I think it's like they're doing like an alpha and it's gonna like run short and yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
Alpha in spring.
that at the end of the day, I think the games offer like different things, right? And I've never really enjoyed Smite because when I play Smite, I feel like I should just be playing League because you're in third person, but you're on a flat plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why not just play the better isometric top down? Well, that's how I feel anyway. So why is this in third person? Doesn't make any sense. To me it feels restrictive that now I'm in third person, but I can't like aim up or do it. It's all flat, so it just feels weird. I'd rather just be like bird's eye view looking down. And plus, League is just, in my opinion, the best MOBA out there. So, um, I'd rather play that than Smite. So the only reason I play Predecessor is because I think that it's 3D. It actually exists in 3D, fully 3D. right? You're not restricted by anything, and I think that this is probably the natural progression that MOBAs should go down if they're going to continue on as a genre. So I don't know. I think people play this game because of that reason, if that makes sense. They're not going to play Smite because it doesn't feel like 3D. So I don't know.
Yeah, ironic enough, I think like the perception of like what I would think about Smite in, you know, relative to Predecessor is not what most would probably think. I don't think it's going to kill Pred either. I actually don't think it has the ability to kill Pred. I do think that it has the ability to remind people like what good game development and releases and um such
NIP
looks
contracts,
like. And
events.
I think it has the ability to like show people like what a game should be doing. And the only worry with that is that like technically because it shares the 3D MOBA space, even though they're very different, and I don't think that Smite's just going to pull people away just because. I think that it should hopefully light a fire because I do think that Smite's their biggest competitor, just because of the fact that like they're the only two 3D MOBAs other than Overprime, which like Overprime and Pred they might as well be twins, like literally in terms of like whether or not they're gonna make it. But yeah, I think that Smite 2, like showing like how much they've been able to do in a year, and yes, they're a bigger team, and yes, they have more experience. It just raises the bar. It just continuously raises the bar and reminds people that like, hey, like at the end of the day, like you're competing with these products, and like people want to play something that like has a promising future. And I think the only worry I would have is that like Smite 2 is basically guaranteed to be successful. Like for me, someone that I've never played Smite, I looked at my account. I've technically played Smite. I have 41 games played like lifetime on Smite. I don't have any skins that I'm losing. I'm not losing a lot of context or anything. To me, Smite 2 looks incredibly attractive because all I have to do is boot up the game when they have like I just get on there and start gaming and learning when the hero pool is low. They're going to release a hero every week until they get to 50, and then they're going to pull back to releasing a god every 2 weeks until they get to 100. And like that work,
that's wild.
Like that work is insane. And again, I don't even expect that from Pred because this is all like, you know, a decade's worth of production pipelines and experience and teams being built out and, you know, the efficiency that they've built. But dude, like that's like, even though they're not necessarily the exact same game and they don't have the same exact pull, that's tough to compete with. So I think that announcing Smite 2 was big because it does have implications on Pred to some degree. So you just gotta like, I don't know, like I mean, with anything, it's always going to just come down to Pred making their game successful or not, right? Like I said this in my video recently. I've been doing YouTube shit for like 15 years. I've never seen a game die because the content creators shit talked the game. I've never seen a game die because the competitive scene was acting crazy. I've never seen a game die because the player base was toxic. The only thing that ever kills games is devs. It's like they either did the work and got to be successful or they fucking didn't. Like good games are good and bad games are bad. And the reality is that like 99% of free to play games die anyways. So you're already like the deck is super fucking stacked against you. It's sure. Like you probably have a better chance of making it to the NFL than you have a very successful free to play live service game. So like I think like my perspective on like being super harsh on these games is like, dude, what the fuck else choice do you have? Like these games are they're dying and like have such a tiny chance to make it the second that someone decides to make one. So we'll see. Smite 2, I think it scares me a little bit because like it could just remind people that there's a better product out there, even if it is very different. I
think Pred's past. Hot take. I think Pred's past the point of dying because even if shit goes as worse as it possibly could, let's hope not. They still have a core community at this point, console and PC, that even if they only keep 3,000 players, they'll probably be able to keep things going.
That's hard to
whether it's successful, that's a different argument.
Well, okay, so you have to be, you got to break even, right? It's
Well,
especially when investors are involved. You have to, at minimum.
Well, I mean, I don't. You have to break even at some point, right? Whenever
yeah.
that time is
Yeah.
set. Whenever you're supposed to
Yeah, like
start
regardless of
making a
it being
profit.
5 years, et cetera, whatever they agreed to.
But
The
like
plan.
that's the other thing too, is that like a lot of even successful games don't like instantly turn a profit, right? Like you look at like something like Among Us, right? Like that game was out for like 3 years before it became popular, right? So like, I mean, there's obviously it's not a MOBA, but there's plenty of games that
That's a good
run.
example. Sometimes it could be labeled as just like a whatever game or like an okay game, not dead, not crazy, and then it blows up. But I
Right.
think Predecessor with the Smite 2 wave that's going on right now, it would be almost willfully ignorant to not try and ride that hype wave with them.
For
Does that
sure,
make
yeah.
sense?
Yeah, no, they're gonna have a lot of eyes on them. You might as well try to do like some form of marketing around that time and try to show off your game as a kind of alternative to a game that looks similar, right? Well, absolutely, I agree.
I
Yeah, actually, so Krashy, I will say, I actually looked into like how many characters and stuff were released, and everybody here can. This is a non-Pred fanboy thing to say, but Pred
Mhm.
the first year it has been slow on character releases. Absolutely, I think it was League the first year. League released with like 40 heroes, and then the first year was like 29 heroes that they released. I think Dota was like something like 33 heroes the first year that they released. Smite was up there too. Smite was uh I think we've gotten
it's like 12
13.
or 13, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've gotten 13, and it's been
Yeah,
out
so
for
it's
14 months.
well, it's yeah, we're coming up on 14 months, like in like a week.
Part of the undertaking that they signed up for because of the quality of heroes being input
Well, so
too.
there's a problem, right?
Yeah,
There's a
for sure.
problem on both sides of this, where if you release too slowly, then like how do you build your game? Like how do you keep interest and build interest
Momentum.
and build momentum? But there's a problem on the back end too. When you make an infinite number of heroes, holy fuck, it's impossible to balance. Like it's literally impossible to balance. So then you just end up doing these like balance like waves where like some shit phases the fuck out for a long time and then some shit phases the fuck in. And the funny thing is like even with recognizing that there's two problems, right? Like one that happens if you don't release a bunch of heroes and one that happens when you do, there's still a right answer. The right answer is to get to the point where you can even be successful enough to have the second problem. So it's like we're at a place where like you look at this release cadence and you say, holy fuck, that is so slow, figure it the fuck out. Like figure it out. Like going from 4 weeks to 6 weeks, I think has probably been their biggest mistake. It is so fucking slow and so boring, and it doesn't leave enough room for building hype, and it doesn't leave enough for like I don't care if the quality suffers a little bit. I don't give a fuck about the balance a little bit. Figure that shit out later. Like give people
Yeah,
enough
you can
to
sacrifice
bite
on
on.
balance.
Yeah, give people enough to bite on that you have a future. And I'm not saying that the hero release alone will be the reason the game flops, but if you're lacking in other areas, like you got to keep that up at least too, right? Like so it's something, man. Like I said, like
Uh,
games are releasing heroes like 2 to 3 weeks. Like you gotta try to compete with that.
I was
well,
okay with their 2 week, 4 week schedule they had before. Like almost like once a month sort of vibe, right?
yeah, they were doing once a month for a while. I mean, I will say that I'll disagree with you on that point, Crashy. I think that sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. When just before I lose my
No,
train of
go
thought,
ahead, for sure.
because I'm old. Also, we
Oh,
lost you.
yeah, I don't know where my camera went. Go ahead while I
Um,
figure that out.
but I think that you can try to keep up. But I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is that like as long as you have enough money and you're willing to spend that money to survive until you have that content, right? You have that giant pool of content. As long as you have enough money to skate by and survive until you get to that point. I don't think hype is not something that necessarily needs to be built up over time with games, right? Like look at Pal
It's
World, for
yeah,
example.
it's a
That just came out.
capitalization thing for sure.
Right, right. You
Like
just
seizing the opportunity when it
yes,
comes to hype.
you need to have at some point your product is going to hit a certain mark, where it's got all this stuff, and then you just need to do a big push of marketing. So a lot
Yeah,
of a lot of games blow up that way.
I
So
think that it's always important to remind people that getting people to play the game is not hard. It's always going to come down to, is the thing that's happening once they're in enough to keep them. So yeah, you're right. I think that if they have money, nothing fucking matters, right? Like, you could make the shittest game for 2 years in a row, and if you have money, your company survives. And then when you do start running low on funds, or when you have put yourself in a position where you're actually marketing and getting a bunch of those people on the game, do they want to stick around? So a lot of my fears, it's a lot of my worries and concerns that I have with Pred, or criticisms that I have with Pred, is not even, it doesn't even matter contextual to the time period we're in. It's like I'm cross-referencing how it feels now plus the track record, and then I'm taking those two things and like putting it in the future when the game is free to play. So, and some people could say, well, like, that's really a dumb thing to do because we're not actually free to play. And it's like, you could kind of say that, but like, what else do I have to go on, right? Like, if the release cadence is slow in early access, why would I expect that it's going to be fast? Like, why would I expect that it's going to, like, okay, so if holding player interest is bad now or hard now, why would I expect it's just going to be better in the future? Like, what wouldn't I expect that based on the track record, it's going to be exactly the same? So I do think that as long as they have money, that's good. Like, as long as they have money, the lights stay on. But if you're never making money, then the lights don't stay on. And so it's more of like the argument of inevitability, and not like well, it doesn't really matter now. People always say like, oh, it's early access now. And it's like, yeah, but like, early access is just 2 words. Like, that shit doesn't mean fuck all. Like, it really doesn't. Like, your game is publicly facing and it's playable, even though it's not free yet. Early access means fuck all. It's a crutch. It's a tag. Some games are early access and they're fucking massive. Some games are early access, they stay that way for 5 years. That shit means nothing. It's just a thing.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I don't look at like open beta, closed beta, early access, all that stuff. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me,
or can I not play?
Yeah, what it matters to me is at the point. I mean, all games live and die by this, right? Your game, at a certain point, you're going to have to market it. When you market it, and after you do that big marketing push, or after you put a ton of resources into marketing, right, spend a lot of money doing that, do you gain enough players at that point, and do you retain them? Because if you don't, then the game's dead. At that point, it's just dead. So
yeah, and that's the thing.
Until we get to that point, then I just don't, I don't really see.
So I'm always reluctant to say the game is dying, because the game hasn't like taken that first big breath yet. So yes, I agree. Like, I'm not going to die on the hill of the game is dying. What my argument usually is that I don't see the potential for it not to, like, to not die, because everything they've shown me over the last 14 months, it all leads to death. It all leads to death. I don't care what their finances are. They might still be sitting on $18 million. But this pace of development doesn't ever captivate a player base. Like, this pace of development will never retain a large enough player base that I think they will be profitable. And because of that, I think that leads to an inevitable death.
Well, with most, so like, I can give you, when I looked into Smite, I was actually kind of interested in looking into some of this. So like, the guy that did Smite, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess my point is that, like, pace is dependent on profits, right? Like, the pace at which
the more money you make, the faster you can run the train.
Right, because the faster you can upscale the game. So like, Smite, from what I read anyway, the guy Aaron Gorman, one of the founders for Hi-Rez, when they founded it in like 2005.
Yeah,
he was like a big like retail software CEO. Like, he owned like a company that did retail software. So he put like 30 mil of his own money into there, and they developed two games before Smite. But when they, specifically talking about Smite, when they started developing Smite, it took off like relatively quickly. Within like a year, the article I read said that they were at like 1 million unique logins a day. So that's like, way bigger than Predecessor. So at that point, like, if you're making money at that point, you're gonna be able to upscale a lot faster, and you're gonna want to upscale a lot faster. Because if you're not upscaling a lot faster, then you're just losing a ton of money, because all these people aren't gonna be able to buy products, because you're not releasing products to this a million people that you have logging on every day. So, absolutely, at that point, I don't think the predecessors hit those metrics by any means, not even close. So, it's not. I mean, it's going to stay relatively the same until we get to the point where maybe if, like, once again, maybe if they do a marketing push and they release, and if there's a large player base and they're purchasing stuff, then maybe at that point they can start to upscale pretty hard. But until then, I
Okay,
don't know.
so now we're kind of talking about like a hypothetical gamble of like hoping that the product that's here or even will be there when they do decide to go free to play is good enough to hold people for at least a small point of time, or like a small window of time, so that way you can upscale and actually deliver on the shit that you need to have in order to keep them.
No, I'm saying that
What you're
whenever we
explaining is like the Destiny effect, Krashy. Get them in here. Get them in here for a while. They earn money. They earn the player base. That leads to further DLC down the road. So it's not a flawed strategy. It's just a strategy.
My problem is
what I,
like the turnaround. Okay, I'll let Sock go because I don't want to
Yeah, go ahead.
no,
misrepresent.
you're
like
fine.
somebody.
What I'm saying is that, like, hopefully by the time that we get to that point where we're ready for full release, we have all of these things in the game, right? So, like, maybe the game kind of scoots by for 2 years at a slow pace, and then they release all this stuff. But at that point, they have rank, they have a bunch of stuff that the community wants. They have a bunch of things for retention in the game and all that stuff, and then they release, and then people start playing it, and then they can upscale, and then they can start to release at a faster pace. I mean,
think
everything is built on like a hypothetical, but
I think there is a possibility that I have to accept that goes almost completely averse to most of my opinions about the direction the game is headed, that could suggest that they have enough time and enough capital to run the ship, or to like sail the ship so fucking slowly that they lose anyone who has any kind of feeling or sentiment that I have, but would still lead them to an inevitable success. Because if they have enough money, and if they can get to a point where they do have all the bells and whistles and it's firing on all cylinders, and then they release and they come out and gain a bunch of players and all those players are happy, then at that point, if they can just hold them long enough, they can probably upscale them. They can upscale their company and actually,
gamble,
I mean, it's a long gamble, but it is technically possible. My problem with like the way I kind of like, I don't even humor that train of thought usually, is because I still think that they have like a release cadence problem. So you would have to like get all those people in, quickly hire the fuck out of people. Like you would have to start slinging fucking cash like crazy. At that point, they've probably, like, let's say it takes 3 years to get to that point, 2 years to get to that point. You've probably burned through a good amount of money at that point. And then you have to upscale. Then you have to get those people in. Then you have to produce the content. Then you have to release it. Like, how fast will that be? So it's always still comes back to like the cadence of things. But like, it's possible. I think that it's impossible for me to see a future for the game if they don't prove that they can run the game prior to release at a cadence that makes sense. And
I'll throw a little twist as to your concerns. And sorry to cut you off. I'll throw a little twist as to your concerns there, just because. So we have heard from the CEO that they have enough capital to keep the game running for several years, was what was said, right? That's the first thing there. Now, the idea of running out of money, that's an interesting idea, but that's also something that a lot of people think is like, 22 million, that's all they got. That's not how investments work. They had a seed round. They're proving their concept as we speak. We are the proof of concept console and everything, right? They can easily go to the next phase of investments 6 months from now and grab another 20 million, for example, depending on their success, etc. Right? So it is one of those things that they can easily come up with more money if the potential is there. But I'm just going to circle back around to the idea of they need to capitalize on these few moments so that when they do go to investors in 6 months, a year from now, or whatever it may be, they have better numbers to show.
See, my problem is that I'm not worried about money at all. I'm not sitting here thinking like, oh, their burn rate's crazy, they cannot sustain to the end of the year. I'm not concerned with their finances at all. I think they lack the talent and the capacity to build this game at a demand that the players will have. I think that these developers, and listen, man, I want to always be clear on this.
Yeah, a
I
skin
like
every 6 weeks is not enough.
well, and even if they upscale, I like these people. I don't mean any. This is like the way that they're running their company and the way that they're running their game. It's just business. The way that I speak, it's just business. I think that the people that they have there are not talented enough for the market demand. And the market demand, you know what? It fucking sucks, dude. It sucks that people don't give a shit about the devs and the experience and the size of their team and the fact that it's their first game. It sucks that people don't give a shit about that. But they don't. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody fucking cares at all. They turn on the game, and if the game is cool, they're going to play it, and they will play it. And then 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, they're going to be like, this is the same game that I started playing 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I'm fucking bored. In that time period, I've gotten 2 heroes. I'm fucking bored. Ranked still isn't out. I'm fucking bored. Like, they just get bored and they move on. And so it's always going to come down to cadence and capacity.
Could you clarify? So just to make sure that we're on the same page, when you say not talented enough, because there is a point, because I think I understand where you're coming from. There is a point of talent and skill that it's not the fact that it can't get done. But there are, let's just say, those workhorses in their field where it's literally like, hey, that one person is going to be able to make 4 skins this month, while the other 3 guys are only going to be able to do 1 this month. Are you saying that as a whole they don't have the talent, or are you saying that they just don't have that like enough of those individuals to be able to keep up with demand?
I think it's impossible to speak individually because I don't really know them and what they do. But I could say that a better company with a better leader, with better development pipelines, with better leadership to hold people to a certain standard at a certain time frame for releases will do better. Like there is a natural feeling of being able to know when player interest is going to fall off, and you always have to be faster than that. And they've never been faster than it. Like they've always been under that bar of interest where it's like, it's obvious that people are interested because of what the game is. And it's obvious that you can get people in. It's never going to be hard to get people into the game. But like, can you ever actually retain a number that's high enough to sustain for many, 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 many years?
I think they'll be able to get close, but I think their core philosophy as a company is gonna be like a wall that they have to overcome, and I'll explain why. Because they're very proud at the fact that it's a very healthy work environment. Every dev that I've talked to says that it's a healthy work environment, whether it be their holidays, vacations, you know what I'm saying, whether it be like the time frame that they work. But the majority of profitable games, unfortunately, are not the healthiest work environments. Those are the ones that, hey, we need to drop this patch the week before Christmas. It's not ready yet. We're going to grind and put in an extra 40 hours of overtime if we have to make sure that this update gets done. And in order to meet those expectations that are set by the industry, which is what we're all used to and what we're all going to compare them to, I think they might struggle as a core philosophy of what they're trying to run as a business. And I think that might be a little bit of a hurdle because they want to keep it healthy. They want to keep the longevity. They don't want to burn their employees out. But that also means they're not going to meet the time frame that we're expecting at times.
I think that it's really important for me to like try to keep my humanity by saying that I don't want these people to have shitty lives and shitty jobs. I'm just trying to look at it literally where I'm like, if you don't achieve the thing that needs achieving, you don't have a job. And so that's not me saying like, oh, your whole company needs to just fucking crunch your ass off. It's me saying like, I don't know. I don't have the solution. People are always like, well, you bitch a lot, but you don't give solutions. It's like, if on the things that I feel like I can give solutions, I'll try. On me saying, hey, you need to speed up, figure it the fuck out, I don't have solutions. I don't. I wish I could say like, oh, maybe Robbie needs to be replaced because somebody else would run them better. I don't know if that's true. I think I could say, oh, hire 30 more developers and just throw money at it, even though it might put you in an odd financial situation, and see if you can actually pick up the pace to get to release and retain people. I don't know if that would be the best decision. I just know that I'm looking at a cadence that I am so incredibly confident that will never be successful. Never. It will never be successful. It may run for 3 years and then die, but it will never be successful. It will never make it in the long run. And if you're making a game to break even over 3 to 5 years, cool, you can do that. if you want. But that's not a successful game.
Yeah. Every successful
successful.
business, every successful business has a certain standard time frame and amount of work that is expected to do, because at the end of the day, it's providing a product and people buying the product at the end of the day, right? Whether that be a skin, whether that be their early access initial paywall, that's really what it comes down to. And like you said, my point of view, the only thing that I see that could fix them maintaining their structure and their healthy work environment is genuinely just more people, quite frankly. But that is at a gambling cost, because now you're adding people. You don't know if they're vetted. They're going to have to work for like 30 days before you find out if this man needs to get fired or not, for example. Right? Like, if there's a whole hiring process and shit that happens.
Well, I mean, and just working. With some of my discussions that I've had with Ometa, like dude, it's fucking hard to hire people. Like, it's hard to find talented people to do anything that requires talent.
Not lately. There's a whole bunch of people on the market right
dude,
now.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's seemingly, fair. Usually in my eyes, it seems like it's usually hard to hire people. But two of the things, or two like variables in their hiring process. One, they have a work from home environment, which I think I would assume that would be a benefit to hiring. Like, that's probably incredibly attractive to some developers, or to most developers.
It's a benefit for comfortability, but it's a difficulty for, like we said, like just nailing down on people and be like, hey man, where the fuck is his work?
Exactly. Like, I think that you're gonna have a natural lacking sense of camaraderie and sense of connection to the project, but it's like nice for like having the fucking comfortable ass job. You're right. The second thing is, there is a massive gamble in asking people to work indie. Like, you cannot, like, if you're an indie studio and you're on your first project, you're not guaranteeing shit. You can't guarantee fuck all. So I think it would be my guess, if I had to guess, that it has been incredibly hard for them to hire. Like they might even be trying to do what I'm saying and hiring more people, and they just can't. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of things that I truly don't know, and I'm happy leaning into my own ignorance during discussions and about these things. One thing I do know is that I know that this pace will not survive. And I don't know if that means it's going to die in a year. I don't know if that means it's going to die in 5 years. I just know that if you're making a live service free to play game, especially in MOBA, like, the goal should always be like 10 plus years. That should always be the goal, because it's like what the Titans have done. And like, it's like what the Titans have done. And it's like, I think it's the way that you get to be like actually very profitable, is like it's the only way to do it, is to like go the distance. Like, this version of this product and this track record of 14 months, it doesn't have legs. I like, and it feels so weird because like I try so hard to explain the perspective outside of my own desires, right? Like, it's not me that wants to compare this game to Smite and League of Legends. It's everyone else. It's like, it's not me that wants them to bust their ass and crunch. It's the industry. It's not me that, wants to. Does that make sense? It's like, it's not just like me being the asshole. It's like, dude, if you don't, like, it doesn't make it. Like, so it's tough.
I'm with you, but I do think, and I don't want to speak for all, but I think on average, it feels like the team of Ometa feels like SOC, actually. It's like, hey, it's early access. We're not going to stress it too much. You know what I'm saying? We got open beta. We're not going to stress it too much. We'll start stressing it when we're fully released, right? I do get a consensus that they might be feeling that way, but I'm along the lines of kind of like what I mentioned earlier. It's all about habits, patterns, and everything. Like, if you stress it now, you don't got to worry about it later. If you iron out the kinks and become a better company now, when the problem arises a year from now, be like, hey, we already got a situation. If this happens, we do this. We've been through this 2 times already. We know what to do. We're effective on it. So I honestly think that the majority of people feel like SOC cap, as far as like, it's early access, whatever. But I would stress everybody at Ometa to be like,
so
hey, this is the time to make mistakes and learn from them, so you're ready.
My question would be, if they can't go faster now, okay, if they could go faster now, wouldn't they? Isn't that like just an obvious yes? Like, if they could, wouldn't they?
No, I don't think so.
No, you don't.
I don't think they would if they could. Because that comes down to the leadership. What if the leadership specifically has an idea of slow and steady wins the race?
Okay,
even if the people under make an argument sometimes. This is hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
Even if, let's say, down the ladder, people are like, hey, I really think we should be capitalizing on this smite too. But at the end of the day, the person that gives the last say says negative.
I think it is incredibly obvious that if they could, they would, but they can't, so they don't. Like, why wouldn't it go, like, develop all of this faster? Like, what...
I'm going to quote somebody in chat. Somebody in chat earlier worded it really well, and I'm sorry if I don't remember who wrote it, but somebody in chat earlier mentioned they've admitted to stockpiling stuff before on other forms of content, like Predcast and, like going into people's streams and shit like that. They've admitted on stockpiling content. That in itself almost gives the impression, might not be true, but it gives the impression that if we need to stockpile, that means our rate of content is slow. That's why we're stockpiling, right? So it's one of those things that it's like they foresee the fact that their rate of content is slow. So that in itself is almost like a defensive behavior of, well, let's hold on to shit so that way when it does get a little bit busier, we got shit to throw out.
Yeah, but doesn't that just mean that you never catch up? Like you like if
not necessarily. That could mean that they're just playing it nice and slow until they get those other 10 developers that they need to catch up, and then maybe it changes. I see them go from 2 to 4. Well, I don't think it's beneficial. I just think it's them playing it safe.
I see no playing it safe. I see no benefit to stockpiling content other than the only thing that stockpiling content does or says or means or shows is that they are incapable and lack the capacity to meet market demand. Like, if the demand is this and they're stockpiling, it means their production rate is this. It means it is quite literally like a 1-to-1. If you need to stockpile, you cannot create fast enough. And so the question is always going to come down to this: if they could go faster, I believe it's not a question, it's a statement. I believe if they could go faster, they would, because there's no benefit to not doing it. There is zero benefit to slow rolling this game's development. Why the fuck wouldn't you want to be free to play, full release, if you could? So then the literal nature of that question is they can't, and then the literal nature of why they can't is because they lack capacity. And then that draws me all the way back to they are either lacking in talent, lacking in volume, lacking in the production pipeline, the management, whatever the actual literal reason is. They're not good enough at this.
What if season 2 is the reason to blame?
But isn't season 2 another just mismanagement or failure?
So yes, but that's what I'm saying. Season 1 went relatively smooth. Season 2, they overpromised, couldn't deliver on everything. What if that triggered a reaction within the company of, hey, now from this point forward, we're never going to be too ambitious at our detriment? You get what I'm saying? What if at this point we're literally stuck in a lull? They could go faster, but they refuse to because of what's happened in the past. Well, is their version of learning from their mistakes?
Going faster doesn't mean that you need to promise it early. Like, going faster just means just do the work and release it when it's done.
Well, I mean, releasing stuff faster, they're going to be working at the pace that they're working at with the people that they have.
That's my point. It's about capacity.
I genuinely think that they are ready for stuff and choose to hold it off for X amount of time, depending on what it is.
What I'm saying is that
for schedule,
to go faster, you have to hire more people, which is just more. You're just paying more money. Like, what about with the player base that they have right now? Let's entertain the idea that enough people are buying enough of these ridiculous skins or whatever, or they're making at least a decent amount of money off the player base that they already have, that they're not really losing that much money off the server cost and paying the employees and all that stuff. So what if they just want to scoot by for a while at a small loss rather than hiring a bunch of people and then incurring more wages, having to pay a lot more?
You're saying, like, for example, what if
to speed things up? Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
like, what if they rather take a gamble year 3 for example, and then they just cutting year 2 at a loss. They're like, hey, we're gonna operate at minimal capacity, or
just
not minimal capacity, but like minimal progress, or like standardized progress, no actual
I just
push.
see no benefit in that at all.
No, it's just playing it safe until you have enough content in your game to, like,
I don't think it's
hard push
safe.
it.
I think again, there's a cost for everything, right? If you play it safe and develop for year 3, then for 3 years you have my fat ass shit talking you the whole time. Like, there's no safe in pissing off and ruining your company's perception, like the perception or the confidence in your ability to develop the game because people expect something. Like, there is no playing it safe. If you're not paying for it with cash, you're paying for it with your reputation. Like, you're paying the price of the decisions you make. And unless you meet the market demand and release a product that people want to play, you are failing. So it's like there's no way to look at Pred as anything other than a current failure. Like, there is no strategy in this. It's just a lack of capacity.
Yeah, but would you say that you're probably a little bit harsher than?
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
absolutely.
can we talk about the perception? Because I know that my perception, and like for example, me and my little bro, we're all content related, right? Like, if another character didn't come out for 2 months, but we're still getting dope as fuck skins and like avatars and shit like that, right? Which is 2 different departments, right? I think, like, I would be happy. And again, and this is why I'm bringing up the perspective part, because you, Krashy, you might like your skins, but you don't strike me as long as they got a steady flow of skins and contents and IP, the Transformer meetup, avatar bundles and shit. You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't care for that. So, but on my side, like, hey, if this map stays the same for a year, but I'm getting a dope as fuck skin every month for the next year, I'm not going to be mad.
Yeah, I'm
small
definitely,
balances will come here.
I'm definitely not the average, right? Like, I think that you have like a timeline of appeasement, and like over here are the people that are like super casual. Console players are a perfect example of the people on this side. I should be doing this hand, but you get the point. It doesn't fucking matter. People over here are like console players who have only been playing for 2 months. Dude, those people probably aren't pissed about anything. You know what I mean? Like, they're chilling. Maybe they don't like matchmaking a little bit, but who the fuck does? So you have people over here that are like mostly okay with the current state of things, but the reality is that, like, the further you go in their timeline of gameplay, like if they start here, like I started back here and I got pissed off here, they start here, they're just gonna get pissed off down here, because at some point, like, it's like the chickens come home to roost, right? Like, at some point it all catches up to you where, like, people, no matter what group they belong to, they have a breaking point. My breaking point is much like my fuse is much shorter naturally. The average person's is probably maybe even triple what I'm willing to deal with, but I broke like 4 months in. I don't even remember when season 2 basically failed. I was like, oh, they're fucked. Like, they're never gonna catch up. And so, like, wherever that breaking point is for even just the average person, like, the lacking capacity will catch them. It will get to them eventually. It may not have happened yet. And again, I think for the console player base, I can't imagine anybody, or even like half the console player base, are pissed about the state of the game. I think it makes a lot of sense when people who are playing on console are like, "What are you pissed about? Like we just got in the game. Like, shit's dope." But it'll catch them eventually. So that's why it's like I try to think about, like, the nature of the track record. Like, is there any indication? I guess I could ask this much: is there any indication that this game will be successful in the long term? Like, do we have anything to go off of?
Once again, all the extra features and stuff like that, it's not, at the end of the day, it just comes down to, like, core gameplay. So if you think that the core gameplay is good enough to become a viral game, right, or like a very, very popular game, then
See,
that's all it really comes down to at the end of the day. Right?
See, I disagree with that.
Well, no, So give me an example of a game that has really shit gameplay that has a lot of, like, interesting outside features that has become insanely popular.
Well, okay, I could rebuttal with giving an example of a game that has really good gameplay but has nothing else that is also, like, wildly successful.
Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Yeah, but Super Smash Brothers Melee is not a live service title. It doesn't need updates and shit for people to play. Like, it's a different, like, it's in a different ballpark.
I'll say no on that, just because they do have a competitive scene. There is It is a live service title. There's balance updates.
Are they monetizing? What's the monetization for Nintendo and whatever
DLC characters?
Are they monetizing Melee?
No, not Melee. No. Melee came out in 2001.
You get
not
my
Melee.
Point. You get my point. Okay,
we're talking about Brawl.
Okay, so let's talk about games that are worth comparing to each other instead of just talking about bullshit.
But what do you mean? Your example is
also
live. No, I didn't bring up Smash. I didn't bring up Smash. I said give me his question was to give him an example of a game that has all the bells and whistles but shit gameplay that's successful. I rebutted with give me an example of a game that has really good gameplay but doesn't have fuck all else that's successful. They don't exist. These things don't exist.
But I'm confused. Why is that example not a good example?
Smash?
They're not. Nintendo's not monetizing it, yeah, but people are making money off of it, and the game is popular. It's continuing to grow. The scene's continuing to grow, and organizations anyway are making money off of it.
But because we're talking about the longevity and the ability to continue a live service product development wise.
Oh, I mean that game. I feel like is the perfect example of a game that has amazing gameplay. It literally came out in 2001, hasn't been updated since.
Okay, so let's look at Super Smash Bros. Melee as the exception and not the rule. Is Pred's gameplay that fucking good? Come on.
No,
that's why personally that's why I say Call of Duty, because Call of Duty's gameplay isn't necessarily something that's flawless. Their method to milking the cow as far as revenue has literally been, hey, just get different studios to create a different version, and every year we'll drop a new version of Call of Duty. We'll monetize on the crazy amount of skins. The gameplay is always going to be complained about, and then guess what? Next year we're just distracting you again with a new version of Call of Duty. Forget about the gameplay. Here's more skins. Here's the environment, and etc.
Yeah, so that's a perfect example of the fact that like gameplay actually matters less than having a completed product. Like gameplay, like here's the thing, Pred did
which is
thing.
Where I was coming from. The content surpasses the gameplay.
Exactly, it absolutely does, because in order to retain players, you need it's fucking TikTok brain. You have to keep them fucking doom scrolling on your shit. Like this over obsession with like having perfect gameplay. Dude, Pred's gameplay is fucking good. It's good enough, and I could still bitch about it, but it's pretty fucking good. You need to finish the shit that actually keeps people around. Like
I agree. I mean, retention systems are important. I'm just saying that if you have a shit game, you have a shit game, and no matter how many retention systems you put in the game, it's not going to help.
I think I rebutted, or I think I disagreed on the point about having like good gameplay be like enough. Like it's just not enough.
Okay, like what about like Lethal Company right now? Right? Like that came out, that's doing incredibly well. What does it have besides 4-player? Like online 4-player?
Maybe I have to consider that maybe I'm maybe this is what I'm about to say might be fucking stupid. I think in order to talk about the shit that we're talking about, you have to talk about like live service, like free to play PvP games. Like they are like within a bubble that need to be compared with themselves, and not like a game that has a box cost to it where they sell. Like look at Pal World, right? Like we could talk about Pal World. They sold like 4 million copies. Boom, instantaneously they're profitable, right? Like they're instantly profitable, like in 3 days. Like we'll never have to talk about what they need to do now. It doesn't matter. They already won. They checked the box. But like, it's not enough to like, you have to compare it to games that are like in the same arena, like monetization model wise, gameplay development wise. Otherwise, like, I feel like we're just like throwing around nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna keep going in a circle around that, because think of it like this: the only true comparable MOBA-esque free-to-play giants
Smite
are literally already established, right? So we're comparing the first couple years of Pred to their first couple years 5-10 years ago, when the market was different, the strategies were different, everything was different, right? Hell, the economy, inflation, everything bullshit, right? So it's one of those things that we can actively only compare them to giants as they are. So then the question becomes, is it fair to compare them to giants as they are right now? Should they be playing the catch-up game? or is slow and steady fine because they're not giants themselves? I think that's what it really comes down to.
I think that at the end of the day, right, they have people that work for their company, or Omega has people that work for their company that work in business that have been working in this field. We also didn't even go over the fact that like this game was a charged game at like $20 initially to $60. So we have like no idea how much revenue they made off of the initial sales of the game, which I imagine was like pretty high considering that like Fault made a few mil off their sales of the game, and it was like tiny in comparison to this.
Real quick, shout out to Omega for PlayStation players don't have to pay a single fucking dime. They just get to play for free and continue playing. I'm gonna just throw it out there. PlayStation players took a W there. Go ahead, Sock.
Yeah, it was charged for early access. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they charged for the game, which is, I'm just saying that's like another source of revenue that we haven't even talked about, right? So like on top of the like what 22 million that they got in funding, like I think that they'll be okay for a while. So at the end of the day, if they're just planning on getting to a certain point and then doing a massive push and then hoping at that point that they're, you know, in a position to capitalize off of it, I don't know. I just think right now, and if you ask any of them, probably behind closed doors, does the current community that you have right now matter? They'd probably just say no. As shitty as that sounds,
no, it's true. No. It's absolutely
Yeah.
true. I mean, I think that's like kind of a given for sure. Like it doesn't really, again, I'm not worried about their finances. I don't think that they're like close to out of money. I think that my argument is always going to come down to their ability and their capacity to keep up at the point at which they're free to play or open beta, either one, both. I think that if they, again, I struggle to like the slow and steady talking point. Like at this point, I think the only way I could possibly believe that that's the strategy is if they just came out and said like, oh yeah, we're doing this on purpose, which would fucking blow my mind because they're getting raked over the coals for being the slowest game I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, they're getting raked over the coals by a very like small community. I don't think it really matters at the end of the day. So
I mean, I mean,
as harsh as it sounds,
yeah.
as harsh as it sounds to say that, they just released a post that they had 100,000 signups for the beta, right? If they lost those 100,000 players and still managed to somehow get 1% of league's total player base, for example, they'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if all of us don't fucking play this game 5 years from now, there's still a possibility for them to be fine. With unfortunate circumstance that they might lose some of that core player base. But what if 3 years from now, then they're ready to make the push? They've lost the majority of the core players, but then they're successful because they did a push at the right time.
Right. Well, and I'm not obviously a dev or anything. I've talked to some of them, and the number that always gets thrown around is like the golden number of like how if you're retaining, I think it's like 12% of the players that like sign up and make accounts. Because if you look at that like that thing that they released or whatever, it was like 100,000 signups, and then it was like 900,000 matches. So that doesn't seem like a lot of matches for like 100,000 signups, right? So, but like if you're so I guess essentially what I'm saying is that like a lot of those signups don't really mean anything because I don't think very many of those players like really stuck around and played. They maybe played a few matches and then they were done. But if you are retaining from what I have been led to understand, if you're retaining like 12% of your player base off of people that have signed up, if you're retaining 12% of those players that buy the game and continue to play, that's a pretty good number. And from my understanding, Pred's hitting that. So I don't think that I guess what I'm getting at is I don't think that they're in any rush. And Krashy, when you keep saying like bringing up the pace is too slow right now, like I don't think the pace needs to be once again slow or like fast right now necessarily. I don't think the pace matters, and the pace is not something that's like set in stone. If they start making more money, then obviously the pace is always going to go up because that's what happens with
I think that
any game.
I think that my argument will forever and always be that they have consistently for 14 months shown me that they lack the capacity to ever develop the game at a pace that will be successful. So it doesn't matter if they release the game in 3 years from now. It doesn't matter if they release the game tomorrow. This team of people making this game, like I can draw no other inference or no other opinion other than the fact that this team will not be successful.
I will say one thing. It's a little bit of like an anecdotal thing. So when I came into, I'm no longer a tester, right? I stepped down when the game went live because I don't have time to test and stream and all that stuff. But before the game went live, I tested, and so before the game even came out, I remember we tested Xeris, right? So it's a very like rudimentary form of Xeris, and then he came out 9 months later when the game released, right? So like that was a little bit surprising to me to see that character. I tested him, and like I kept being like, "Where the hell is this guy?" Like I just tested him. Like, was the game's been out for a few months now? Like, why? When is this guy releasing? So I don't know. I don't know if they're, once again, I'm not trying to speak it and say that they're like stockpiling stuff up and they're gonna hit us with some like big massive update. It was just a little bit surprising to me to see that he was actually that far back in the pipeline of development from when he finally got released. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the reality of like my position
You're cutting out. You might have tapped your mic, or you might have muted.
Oh, I did mute. Yeah, so I'll say here's the reality of my position is that my position is it's definitely not coming from like I am 100% confident, because I think that would be a bit of a fool's game. My position is that like they have never shown me that they can produce this game even equal to or higher than the demand of the players that do want to play it. I have no reason to believe that will ever change until they show me a reason that it'll change. I think that I think that the last 14 months of them running Predecessor has mostly been a failure. I think that during that time period, they have most likely learned a lot, and that will be beneficial to them. And they're by no means doomed. They're by no means doomed to fail. I don't think that they're struggling financially, but I have no confidence that this is going to turn around and be a successful game in the long term. I just don't see a reason how I could possibly think that. I hope that they can figure it out, but the reality is that like time will tell. Time is the only thing. There's no confidence that they can give us, because the people that have these types of concerns, we're not appeased by the in quotes, let us cook. We're the blog post, the New Year blog post that kicks the can down the road, right? Like that New Year blog post is actually badass, but it means fuck all. Like it means fuck all until the shit's in the game. And if that blog post is also meant to span out over the next 12 months, well then holy fuck, we're about to have a long ass fucking year. Because that shit's good, but Jesus Christ, if I don't touch rank, like I mean I know some of that shit's coming out in the first half of the year, but you get my point. Like if some of that shit doesn't come out until the end of the year anyways, then what the fuck? Like who cares? Like all you did was told me the things that I expected to be in the game no matter what. So 2 years in, I'm gonna still be just as bored and just as frustrated. So I see nothing that should give me
playing though.
So that I can speak to that too. I would still be playing because I'm a fucking lunatic that I pick a game, I attach to it like a dumbass, and I ride that shit till death. I've done it 5, 6, 7 times, so this will be no different. So.
Well, get the fuck out of here then. Why are you attaching to death? Stop playing.
Yo, actually, no. So I will say. I towards the end caveat here, I'm with Krashy on the side that I personally think that they didn't have their shit together last year. There was a lot of figuring out. Give it, call it growing pains, call it adjusting, etc. Right? I definitely do think towards the end of 2023, they started picking up the pace. Specifically, the last month, they started picking up the pace. I think they're on good terms with me personally so far. The first month of the year. The ball's definitely in their court because they are setting the expectations. But I will say, at the beginning of 2023, they hit me with a, sorry, we didn't come to console 2022, but it will come 2023, and they waited till the end of the year, right? So I will say, I take everything that they say they've given us with a grain of salt. But this first month so far, I got no qualms. I don't got anything wrong with what they're doing so far.
You didn't.
They just have to keep this momentum or improve.
You didn't think that the Kwong patch was a little disappointing because all they did was drop a hero, like nothing from the blog made it in.
Content was given at a specific time.
Okay,
you feel me? They added skins with it also.
We're a little over our time, so we'll wrap
Yeah.
up with the last like talking point, and we'll make it a short and sweet kind of thing. Sockcap, what do you expect from Pred in 2024?
The shit in that blog post. I hope that comes in the year. If it doesn't, then that'll suck. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care too much, right? I guess that's my position is that I think that they have people that work at that company in that industry that probably know a lot more than I do. So this feels weird for me to comment on it. And until the game comes to free to play, and until they do like an actual push with marketing where they're spending a lot of money on advertisement, I just don't really care how long it takes until we get to that point. I'm more interested in seeing what happens after that happens, right? After they do free to play marketing push, where the numbers are at. If it's bad at that point, then I can be like, okay, game's kind of fucked, right? But until then, I don't really care too much where we're at.
I envy you. Windu, what do you think? What do you expect? What should you expect? What do you think we should expect? What do you expect from Pred 2024?
Honestly, I've been telling people since the end of last year, try not to keep those expectations low, bro. I was already expecting to lose console for months at a time, and they pleasantly proved me wrong, right? So I honestly don't have expectations. What I really, really want them to do is to give a little bit more creativity and a little bit more freedom to some of those people that are in there, because they for example, on the media team, the marketing team, the posting and shit like that, they've done some good stuff. I say let those people run wild and build off of their momentum and go from there. Just I honestly think that the majority of everything might just be a top-down thing, like you were mentioning, more as a organized structure. But I would say don't expect, and you won't get disappointed. You know.
All right. Well, to answer the question myself, unfortunately, I expect more of the same. I expect this to be a very long and grueling year. I expect things to come out, and I don't know. Maybe we'll see one map change this year. I don't know. I expect them to keep consistently showing me that they're ill-equipped to make this game, and that makes me sad because I think that they probably had a chance, and now, like, I've been saying it for a while, I think that this game has about a 10% chance at like long-term survival. I just think that like the decision making that I've seen, the pace that I've seen, and some of the just like the negligence that I've seen is just crazy to me. Like, even if you're slow, what excuse do you have to not make a single map change or more than one map change in 14 months? It just feels negligent. So I personally think that these devs don't have it figured out. I think that they need to get really introspective and try to find some kind of change internally to elevate. You have good gameplay, man, but that doesn't make a game for me. So any closing thoughts? Y'all want to touch on anything before we hit some quick outros and head out of here?
Tell me that you love Pred.
I do love Pred. I absolutely love Pred. Listen, for someone that is, I think this is important though. I really will. I'll hit on this really quickly. For someone that's as anti-Pred as I come off to be, I am, like I said earlier, I'm perfectly flawed. I love this game to a fault. It absolutely makes sense that people would say if you don't enjoy playing it, don't play. I completely think that makes sense. I'm just a fucking lunatic. I love this game. But I think I love this game. I love the gameplay. I think the game is pretty shit, like the whole package deal of the game, but it's also not done yet. So they technically have time and they technically can turn it around, and I'm just really not sure that they will. I'm pretty confident that they won't. But I love Pred, man. We love Pred.
Yeah,
we love Pred, bro. I love Pred.
Bro, if Krashy would have found Pred in 2025, this would be a different Krashy.
Bro, if they wouldn't have released early access a year too fucking early, this would have been a whole different thing. They should have just kept this shit in the fucking oven. They shouldn't have had. Listen, I could go off. Why? Why have we been playing?
Next episode. Next video.
All right, friends. Windu, we love you. We appreciate you. Where can we find you? What are you up to?
Just basically look up anywhere Windy the Mace, whether it be Instagram for my personal life takes, pictures of my family and stuff, whether it be my takes on Twitter or videos that I upload on YouTube. Just follow me there and you'll see everything from dates about Predecessor to random bad gameplay every once in a while. Appreciate the love.
Nice. Sock Cap. Is the Pred community hurting? Will we see? Yeah, will we see? Is the Pred community okay? Is that what you said? We're not okay, man. Will we see more of that?
We're not.
We're not okay.
Yes, absolutely. I need that content just like comes naturally because the player base. That's like the big issue that I have with the game. It's not necessarily the game. It's like the player base. So, if the player base continues to stay like consistently dog shit, then there's going to be so many raid clips. It's going to be possible not to make those types of videos. So,
dude,
absolutely.
I wish I feel like I unintentionally robbed the world of a fun moment because I was absolutely crying when you played the clip of me saying there's a lot of fucking dumbasses that watch streams. And I watch a lot of streams myself, and you cut. Oh my god, dude! So fucking funny. The irony of that clip.
I appreciate you having me on the show while I have like memed you pretty hard on YouTube.
Oh, dude, it's great. No, it's great. You gotta have fun with it all. It's
an honor to show up on those videos, bro.
Dude, it really is.
I try to meme everybody equally. So,
I think if you actually did a shit job at making the content, then I would like maybe be like, fuck that guy. But like, it's funny, dude. It's actually funny. Keep it up. We need more of that shit. I
agree.
We laugh so we don't cry. We love Pred. All right, friends. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'll do another one of these at some point, and who knows, man? Maybe we'll be talking about some interesting new shit. Ranked sometime this year. That's what I think a lot of us are holding out for. So thanks so much for coming, you two. Definitely appreciate you. Sockcap, do you want to? I mean, you're probably /Sockcap everywhere, right? I didn't want to rob that from you.
Yeah, it's twitch.tv/Sockcap, and then you at Sockcap on YouTube. I believe.
Nice, awesome. All right, friends, go check them out. Check me out. Check everybody out. Check yourself out. And yeah, we love Pred. We'll see you on the next one.